Queenie Madikizela Malema, a notorious transgender gangster and self-styled informant, became an enigmatic and controversial figure within South Africa's underworld, particularly in the era marked by political instability and the rise of state capture. Her story is a complex weave of flamboyance, crime, deception, and intrigue, set against a backdrop of South Africa's turbulent politics. The contradictions of her persona made her both a fascinating and disturbing character. Queenie, born Savino Ricardo Hendricks, though various records spell it as Sano or Salvino, was not your typical criminal. She adopted the persona of Queenie Madikizela Malema and rose to prominence for her connection to notorious gang factions, particularly the 20 SIXS and 28s, two of the most infamous numbers gangs in the country. Her life and death, surrounded by mystery and speculation, reflect the dark side of South Africa's socio-political landscape during the height of state capture, an era marked by we first encountered KWENE in May 2016 when we had the chance to meet her at a home in Cape Town. Her entrance was nothing short of theatrical. She was late, something she excused with a vague reference to Navy corruption, another of her favorite topics. Her demeanor was loud, commanding, and unapologetically flamboyant. She exuded a sense of being the center of attention wherever she went, and her extravagant persona matched the larger-than-life claims she made about herself. She had a history of dramatic stories, one of which involved surviving multiple assassination attempts. One of the attempts was supposedly linked to poisoning, although other sources dismissed it as nothing more than alcohol poisoning. Nevertheless, Queenie insisted her life had been threatened multiple times, claiming that dangerous forces were always out to get her. During the meeting, she was flanked by two men dressed in black with slick makeup, whom she introduced as her bodyguards. The whole scene felt almost like a performance. Queenie clearly thrived in the role of being the focal point, and her behavior was a mix of confidence, bravado, and an underlying sense of unease. She was always quick to claim she had insider knowledge, particularly about high-level corruption, and she frequently mentioned how certain powerful individuals were trying to silence her. Queenie's social media presence was as outlandish as her persona in real life. Her Facebook page was filled with glamorous photos of her dining with celebrities, posing with high-profile individuals, and attending lavish events. Among the notable figures she appeared with was Charles Spencer, the brother of Princess Diana, whose connection to Queenie was never fully explained. Their interaction was caught on video in May 2016 and aired on the South African news network ENCA, adding yet another layer of intrigue to her already colorful image. The footage showed Queenie interacting with Spencer, though the conversation remained ambiguous and unclear. However, behind all the bravado and attention-seeking antics, there were darker elements to her story that couldn't be ignored. Despite the glamorous appearance she projected, Queenie was undeniably linked to the criminal underworld, particularly South Africa's infamous gang culture. She herself admitted to having a criminal record, revealing in an affidavit that she had been arrested for theft in the early 1990s and later involved with the 28s gang. She also claimed to have served time in prison, including a 12-year sentence for robbery in 2003. Her criminal involvement seemed to go hand in hand with her later role as an informant, a position that would shape much of her later narrative. Queenie was known to have worked as a source of information for the police, using her connections within the gangs to pass on intelligence. At one point, she even approached the public protector's office seeking witness protection after making allegations of corruption against the prison department. However, due to her dubious history and inconsistent claims, the office declined to pursue her case. In January 2016, the Sunday Times reported that the country's public protector, Thuli Madonsela, had received a warning about an alleged assassination plot against her. The report suggested that a gang boss from Cape Town had paid him in to kill her. The story was tied to Queenie, who was accused of being the source of the information. At the time, Madonsela confirmed that she had received a warning, but she expressed shock and disbelief at the claim, which added further complexity to Queenie's already convoluted narrative. She became the subject of suspicion, with many questioning whether she was a reliable source or if she was embroiled in a smear campaign meant to disrupt the political landscape. As the saga unfolded, It became apparent that Queenie's involvement in these events was not without its own set of contradictions. While she had aligned herself with the ANC and had politically charged statements, she was also caught in a crossfire of conflicting agendas. At one point, she claimed that she had been involved in a plot to discredit various public figures, including Jeremy Veer, a former police officer at the center of a smear campaign related to police corruption. Her name had appeared in the press numerous times, with journalists and politicians from different sides accusing her of manipulating the truth for her own advantage. Queenie's claims grew more bizarre as time went on. She alleged that Sean, the former South Africa police minister, had personally visited her in prison during her 2017 incarceration and ordered her release. This claim, which had little to no evidence to support it, only added to the ongoing mystery surrounding her life. By the time we last communicated with her in 2018, it seemed that Queenie had become something of a ghost, always present in rumors, but never fully substantiated by facts. Despite all her contradictions, it was clear that Queenie's role in the political and criminal underworld was intertwined. She had amassed a following of supporters, but just as many critics who saw her as a manipulator and opportunist. It was impossible to tell where the truth ended and the disinformation began. Queenie's tragic end came on January 13, 2025, when she was shot dead in front of a block of flats in Riverview, Western Cape. Her death, as dramatic as her life, has left behind more questions than answers. Who killed Queenie? Was it a gangland execution? Or was it the result of the tangled political and criminal web she had woven? As of now, the motive behind her murder remains unclear, and investigations are ongoing. Regardless of the answers, Queenie Madikizela Malema's death is symbolic of the broader issues of crime, corruption, and state capture that plagued South Africa during her lifetime. She was both a product and a perpetuator of a system where disinformation, gang violence, and political manipulation ran rampant. In the end, her story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by the intersection of organized crime and political power in a society already struggling with corruption. The legacy of Queenie's life filled with half-truths, allegations, and questionable alliances remains an open-ended chapter in the country's history. This extended version adds further depth to Queenie's involvement in politics, her complex relationships with gangsters, her flamboyant social life, and the disinformation campaigns that contributed to the broader culture of corruption and deception in South Africa. Queenie Madikizela Malema's life and death reflect the disturbing nexus between organized crime, political manipulation, and the erosion of truth within South Africa's broader narrative of state capture. Her story highlights how deeply entrenched corruption, gang influence, and disinformation have infiltrated the highest levels of society and governance, creating an environment where truth is often obscured. And individuals like Queenie thrive in the shadows of power and deceit. Whether she was a victim of gang violence, a political pawn, or a self-serving opportunist, Queenie's story sheds light on the murky world where loyalties are fluid and the lines between fact and fiction are blurred. The many claims she made, whether about assassination attempts, insider information, or connections to powerful figures, remain shrouded in uncertainty, yet they paint a vivid picture of the dangerous environment she operated in. Her tragic death, still under investigation, has only deepened the mystery surrounding her life. As more details emerge about her connections to gang leaders, politicians, and law enforcement, it's clear that Queenie was not just a product of South Africa's turbulent political landscape, but a symbol of the chaotic intersection of crime, corruption, and media manipulation that continues to plague the nation. In the end, Queenie Madikizela Malema may have been larger than life in her own eyes, but her death has left a gaping hole in the puzzle that is South Africa's ongoing battle with state capture. It is a reminder that in a society where information is weaponized and truth is manipulated for political and criminal gain, no one is truly safe from the dangers of power, corruption, and disinformation. As South Africa continues to grapple with these deep-rooted issues, Queenie's story serves as a chilling testament to the lengths to which individuals and groups will go to maintain control, manipulate narratives, and protect their own interests even at the expense of lives and truth itself. Please subscribe and like the video for more.